my official prediction, Blachowicz versus Rakic. Now, there's a big problem here. There's a really big problem here, which is the intangibles. It's the intangibles that wins fights, right? Who is more motivated is very relevant, and you have no ability to see that. Who's hungrier? Who needs it more? Who had a better day? Who's got what it's like? There's things there. Who has made a promise to themselves? Who is absolutely focused? Who is disciplined? Like, there's things that there's no way for you to see. There's no way for you to know. The fighter himself does not know. He knows how he wants to feel. He knows how he needs to feel. He doesn't know how he's going to feel. It could happen on your walk to the ring. I was in a ring one time in a fight that I believed I was going to lose. True story. This is on. This is happening. Bruce is making the announcements, and my opponent told me I was a loser. You guys remember this when dorks used to, they'd held up the L? Remember that? Oh, you loser. They'd even put it on their forehead. Do you remember this time? That was a very real thing. It was going around. The opponent holds up the loser sign, and so does his coach. Two people who I happen to really like, by the way. I'm getting ready to fight a friend. Coach that I still like to, they call me losers. Flipped a switch. But it's a real thing. When I tell you, you don't know how you're going to come in. Now, I can take some guesses on Blachowicz. I can take a guess, and I believe that he had too much on him the night that he fought Glover. That wasn't Blachowicz. It wasn't. He's talked about it. He even said as recently as yesterday in an interview that I happened to catch, he said, the night that I fought Glover, I left the Polish Power in the hotel room. But it wasn't a power issue. It's not as though he connected with Glover and didn't put him down. He didn't do a goddamn thing. It was just one of those things where he just had a night off. Another thing that I can relate to, you don't know why it happened. You were ashamed. You learned something about yourself that you didn't believe was true. Right? So it's one of these terrible moments. But if you're going to come in and fix that because you don't want to accept it, this is your opportunity. Now, what led to it in the first place? Well, a simple guess is pressure. There was just too much pressure. Too good of an opponent. Was supposed to win. It's a world title fight. It was pressure. That's a simple belief. I just struggle with that with Blachowicz because the biggest opportunity that he had ever, still to this point in time, was the fight with Adesanya. And he looked awesome. I'm talking about Blachowicz. He looked awesome. He was absolutely ready to compete. He was never backing down. He was never stopping. He was absolutely committed. He was in the moment. When he's in the first round, he's not thinking about round number 3, which is what most athletes do. It's called taking inventory. You are somewhere else. How do I feel right now? Okay, let me times that by 3. That's simple math. However tired I am now in the first round, in the third round, it's going to be 3 times. It gets weird. Very tough to stay right in the moment. Kamaru Usman. You want an example? I've never seen an athlete in any sport in my life that can reset and stay in a moment more. It's a huge deal. But I felt as though that was what got away from Blachowicz in the fight with Glover. And then things started to unravel. When he says, I left the Polish Power in the hotel room, I got to push back because you didn't connect with him to start with. Right? So now you got range issues. Now you got output. Why weren't you even throwing the power? This isn't to give him a hard time. In fact, I'm attempting to do just the opposite. It's a huge question mark. Anytime a guy loses a title, it's a huge question mark. Historically, it's 50-50. 50% of the time, that guy never comes back. And 50% of the time, he looks better in his next one than ever. Give you a great example. You don't want to fight Derek Lewis, period. I could stop the statement right there. You don't want to fight Derek Lewis when he's coming off a loss. Just that does something. That does something to the beast. I will tell you, the great curse is not the champion that lost the belt. That's 50-50. You want to know the greatest curse? The number one contender that lost the title opportunity. That is 80-20. 80% of the time, that guy does not. The rest of his career, if you fight for a title, the rest of your career, that's 5 matches, that's 8 matches, that's 10 matches, you will have a very lopsided, losing record. I don't know why. I don't have something that I could offer for you to what that does to you psychologically. My working hypothesis is You became guilty of reading what they said about you. When you were told you were the number one contender, what that is supposed to mean is that you can and you have proven that you are better than everybody alive, except for one guy. And now you're going to go and test that. So when you lose to that guy and you're convinced, okay, that's the only guy that can beat me. So whoever I have next and whatever I do, obviously I can win. I was just the number one contender. Like something about it. But it's the one great curse. And when I do break down Rakic versus Blachowicz, I'm not getting into the X's and O's. I haven't told you this guy's going to circle this way and he's got to come to the body. I haven't gotten any of that. I haven't talked about the power of Blachowicz versus the length and the reach of Rakic. I think as far as an athlete goes, you're going to have a very difficult time anywhere of finding a better athlete than Rakic. He just moves well. He just competes well. He's got a certain anger to him that you might not see. A very handsome guy, looks like a nice guy. But he has a certain anger with intentions that are bad when he looks to connect with you. But I haven't even gotten into any of that because it's really not the question. You got the number one guy taking on the number three guy. Those rankings are accurate. That is exactly where they should be. People believe this to be a number one contenders fight. And the only thing that has ever been pushed back is Lionheart's upcoming match with Uncle Lyle. That's a great match. I personally also think Blachowicz versus Rakic, performance will decide if that's an absolute. But with a normal, not even a great, with a normal performance, long as nobody lays an egg, I think that you've got it. So I really don't think that it comes down to the skills. I could shine both of their wheels. I could spend 10 minutes shining both guys up. They're both really good. I think you do have an intangible. I think it is which Blachowicz is going to show up. Blachowicz is a guy who is extremely consistent. He's only got one strike against him. I'm not talking wins and losses and record. I'm talking he shows up and performs. He deals with the pressure. He walks through guys. I've seen him come from behind. Very good competitor. He had one night off. What does that do to him? Now that he knows that that's possible, what does that do to him? In boxing, when a guy gets knocked out, he's never the same. And people with a lack of understanding will say that he just can't take the same shot ever again. That is absolutely not it. Once a guy realizes he can be knocked out, once he realizes he can't take any shots, psychologically, that's what affects him. It slows him down. It makes him keep his hands up. It makes him keep his chin down. He's thinking about defenses. Best defense is a good offense. You're out there hitting the other guy. You don't have anything to worry about. It's as soon as you stop, now it's his turn, right? It's just one of those things. So what is it going to do to Blachowicz? See, a human being that got to have one bad night? Sure, you bet. You bet we're open to that idea, of course. But is that the case? He doesn't know that answer either. We're not going to know that till this match is done. If he's going to show up laser focused and he's going to be in the moment, he absolutely has to right this wrong. He absolutely has to get back on the track. I mean, that's going to be a very dangerous guy. He's going to bring things, and his skills and his heart and his grit is going to be different. So it's a very confusing fight. It really is. Because it's not about the speed. It's not about the jab. It's not about the cross. It's not about who can out-grapple who. It's not. There's something else at play here. You want me to tell you who I believe is going to be the number one contender, who I believe is better, and who's going to win this fight? It's Rakic. But there is something that can allow an athlete to perform outside of his gloves. And sometimes it's for one night only, and you can never remember it, you can never have your best performance. But generally, whether that's a dud or it's an absolute success, it comes from a situation predicated on the experience that was just had by Blachowicz. Official answer, I'm taking Rakic.